Jamal Robinson woke to the shrill ring of his phone at 6:30 a.m., blinking against the dawn light. His best friend, Maya Tran, was breathless on the line. "They're expelling you," she whispered. "The announcement just went up." By 7 a.m., Jamal stood in front of Lincoln High's gray brick facade, shoulders slumped beneath his navy backpack. A single laminated notice, taped at eye level on the front doors, declared, "Jamal Robinson is expelled effective immediately for conduct unbecoming a student. No hearing date. No right to appeal. No explanation beyond a single line." Inside the campus quad, whispers swirled like autumn leaves. Friends clustered in small huddles. Sophomore Keisha Patel pressed her hand to her mouth. "He did nothing," she muttered. Junior Marcus Lee, Jamal's debate partner, stormed over, anger flashing in his eyes. "That principal's crossed every line." Moments later, Maya appeared in her wheelchair, determination radiating from her. She raised her voice. "This is wrong. They can't just kick him out for being black." A few students nodded. Others looked down at their shoes, fearful. But Maya's clarity broke the ice. Seniors rallied around her, folding petitions on the library steps. Underclassmen passed flyers in the hallway. By lunchtime, a spontaneous assembly formed on the football field. Over 200 students, black, white, Latino, Asian, stood shoulder to shoulder. Maya climbed onto the team's concrete bleacher and held up Jamal's expulsion notice. "He's not just our friend. He's our captain on the debate team, our tutor in algebra, our brother." Her voice cracked with emotion. "We demand Principal Anderson rescind this expulsion and apologize for this disgraceful act." A chant rose in unison. "Justice for Jamal! Justice for Jamal!" It rippled down each row of students, through the open windows of classrooms, and into the administrative offices. Teachers peered from doors, stunned by the solidarity on display. That afternoon, Student Council President Lucia Morales delivered a formal petition, 1,200 signatures strong, to the vice principal's desk. Lucia's letter laid out Jamal's spotless record, his volunteer hours, and the unmistakable bias behind the sudden suspension. The vice principal promised to present the petition to the principal, but offered no timeline. Undeterred, Maya organized a peaceful sit-in at the main office door, drawing friends who held signs reading, "Expel prejudice, not students," and "Black Lives Matter at Lincoln High." Passers-by slowed, some offering fist raises, others asking how they could help. As the final bell rang, the crowd's resolve only deepened. No one dispersed until they saw the principal himself step onto the office steps, his posture rigid, gaze flickering with unease. He cleared his throat. "Students, I have heard your voices," he intoned. But before he could finish, a roar of protest drowned him out. "We want Jamal back!" Principal Anderson lifted his hand for silence, but his eyes betrayed the first hint of doubt. In that electric moment, when a school's walls trembled under the power of student unity, Jamal Robinson's future hung in the balance. And as Maya locked eyes with him from the crowd, Jamal understood. He had been expelled for the color of his skin, but he would return on the strength of every voice that refused to be silent. By Tuesday morning, Lincoln High's halls buzzed not with gossip but with purpose. Jamal remained barred from campus, but his presence was everywhere. Posters proclaiming, "Bring back Jamal," adorned locker doors, and students scrawled chalk messages of solidarity across the quad. Maya Tran and Marcus Lee stood at the head of the student council, marshaling volunteers to staff informational tables during every passing period, distributing flyers that explained Jamal's clean disciplinary record and the racial double standard at play. At noon, the first major action unfolded, a campus-wide walkout. At Maya's signal, hundreds of students exited classrooms in unison, filing onto the football field in ordered columns. Teachers who tried to coax them back were met with unwavering looks. Only a handful followed them indoors. From the bleachers, Maya addressed the crowd. "We're not here to disrupt education. We're here to defend it. When one of us is silenced for nothing more than the color of his skin, none of us can learn in peace." Their chants, "Lift the suspension," and "Justice for Jamal," reverberated against the gym walls. Nearby office workers peered through windows as the students' fervor spilled into the street, forcing Principal Anderson to emerge, face ashen. He threatened disciplinary action, but the sheer size and discipline of the walkout stayed his tongue. Instead, he retreated, the echo of protest following him inside. Word spread beyond campus. Local high school journalists live-streamed the event. A clip of Maya's speech went viral under number sign Lincoln Stands Up. By afternoon, the district superintendent's office was inundated with emails and calls. A local pastor organized a small rally outside City Hall, where parents of black students held banners reading, "Our children deserve fairness," and "End racism in our schools." When the superintendent agreed to meet a delegation of students and community leaders the next day, the movement gained a tangible foothold. That evening, student leaders prepared their case for the district meeting. They drafted a formal resolution demanding three things. 1. Jamal's immediate reinstatement with no record of expulsion. 2. A public apology from Principal Anderson. And 3. Mandatory anti-bias and cultural competency training for every faculty member. They gathered testimonies from classmates who'd witnessed Jamal's exemplary conduct, and even secured a statement from the track coach attesting to Jamal's leadership and character. The next morning, Maya and Marcus led a delegation, including Lottie Mae Carter, Jamal's mother, to the district office. They were astonished to find a line of community members waiting to petition alongside them. Teachers, alumni, and local small business owners whose own children attended Lincoln High. Inside the boardroom, the superintendent listened impassively until Marina Green, the civil rights attorney from the rec center, laid out the legal ramifications of allowing racial expulsions to stand. Only then did his posture soften, and he promised to review the case thoroughly. Back at Lincoln, students refused to disperse until concrete action was visible. They staged a peaceful sit-in at the main office entrance, blocking administrators from entering until they saw a written statement acknowledging the board's commitment to due process. Principal Anderson, confronted by the swell of solidarity, finally issued a terse memo. An emergency council will convene tomorrow. No further action will be taken against Jamal pending its findings. It was the first hint of victory, but also a cliffhanger. Students understood that without full reinstatement and apology, their movement would need to swell still larger. That night, Jamal sat with Maya and Marcus, skimming the principal's memo on his phone. His heart pounded with cautious hope. "Tomorrow," he said softly, "we either win back my place in that classroom, or we make sure everyone in this district knows what justice truly demands." And as they clasped hands across the kitchen table, the quiet determination that had ignited Lincoln High now burned brighter than ever, united, unapologetic, and unstoppable. Before dawn on Thursday, the Emergency Review Council, a panel composed of the superintendent, 2 school board members, the district's legal advisor, and an outside ombudsman assembled in the boardroom. Word had spread. The room teemed with community observers, student representatives, and local press. In the front row sat Maya Tran and Marcus Lee, flanked by Jamal's mother Lottie Mae and civil rights attorney Marina Green. Across the table, Principal Anderson's posture was rigid, his eyes flicking nervously toward the student delegation. Superintendent Delgado called the meeting to order. "We are here to render a fair determination regarding the expulsion of Jamal Robinson," she intoned. She turned to the district legal advisor. "Please summarize the charges." The advisor cleared his throat. Principal Anderson cited conduct unbecoming a student, but provided no incident report or witness statements. Under district policy, expulsion requires a formal hearing, documented infractions, and right of appeal, none of which occurred. He paused. "Therefore, we proceed with testimony and evidence now." First to the podium was Marina Green. She laid out the chronology. No classroom disruption, clean disciplinary record, the unambiguous dashboard cam footage, and witness affidavits proving a racially motivated act. She concluded, Jamal's expulsion violated both district code and state law on equal educational access. Next, classroom teachers, Ms. Patel and Mr. Sanchez, offered character testimony. Each described Jamal as a model student, punctual, respectful, and academically outstanding. "He tutors peers after school," Patel noted. "He even volunteers at the food pantry on weekends," Sanchez added. Their voices carried the weight of everyday evidence, proof that Jamal's character stood in stark contrast to the accusation. Then, Maya Tran and Marcus Lee stepped forward. Maya's voice rang clear. "Jamal is not just a friend. He's our team captain, our study partner, and our moral compass. When he was removed without cause, it fractured our community." Marcus described how the debate team's state championship hopes had crumbled in Jamal's absence. Their testimonies underscored the broader impact of prejudice, academic, social, and emotional harm rippling through the student body. Finally, Principal Anderson took the podium. His prepared statement faltered as he fumbled his notes. I acted on what I believe to be a disciplinary matter. The ombudsman interjected, Principal, can you point us to any documented infraction? Anderson's gaze dropped. No, I cannot. A tense silence followed before Superintendent Delgado rose. Based on the absence of grounds for expulsion, the council hereby orders 1. Jamal Robinson's immediate reinstatement with full restoration of rights. 2. A formal written apology from Principal Anderson to Jamal and the student body. And 3. Development of a mandatory racial bias and disciplinary procedure training for all administrative staff within 30 days. A murmur of relief and triumph rippled through the room. Marina Green nodded to Maya, who beamed. Marcus pumped a fist silently. Principal Anderson's face paled, but he nodded stiffly, and Superintendent Delgado instructed him to draft the apology on the spot. Moments later, Anderson read aloud, I, Principal Alexander Anderson, hereby retract the expulsion of Jamal Robinson, apologize for my failure to follow due process, and pledge to restore trust through transparent and equitable administration. He handed the letter to Jamal, who accepted it with quiet dignity. As the council adjourned, students surged forward, enveloping Jamal in cheers and embraces. Outside the building, the sun broke through gray clouds, an apt herald of the storm they'd weathered together and the clear skies of justice that lay ahead. Monday dawned crisp and clear, the perfect day for a second chance. Jamal arrived at Lincoln High an hour before the first bell, heart pounding with a mix of relief and nerves. At the front entrance, a crowd of classmates, teachers, and even a few parents had gathered under a banner strung between two flags. Welcome back, Jamal Robinson. Maya Tran and Marcus Lee handed out green wristbands reading, We Stood Together. Lottie Mae Carter, flanked by Marina Green, greeted Jamal with open arms and a beaming smile. When students saw him step onto campus, book bag slung over one shoulder, they erupted in cheers so loud the hallways seemed to tremble. Inside the auditorium, every desk had been pushed aside to make room for rows of folding chairs. Superintendent Delgado, Principal Anderson, and the entire faculty stood on a makeshift stage beneath a new motto painted on the back wall: Justice, Dignity, Respect. Lily Patel, Jamal's favorite geometry teacher, handed him the microphone. Jamal, this school is better because you're here, she began, voice wavering with emotion. Then Principal Anderson stepped forward, his own apology now genuine. Jamal Robinson, he said solemnly, I failed you, your family, and our entire community. I'm sorry. No policy will ever again go unchecked without the voices of our students guiding us. He paused so the words could sink in, then gestured to a stack of certificates. Please accept this certificate of restoration and my promise to model the fairness you helped create. Jamal took the certificate, drew a breath, and addressed the assembly. Thank you for standing with me, he said, voice steady. But today isn't just my victory, it's ours. We showed that when students speak truth to power, we make our schools stronger. Now, let's build on that together. The audience rose to their feet, applause thundering like a second encore. Over the next period, students streamed into the newly formed Equity and Inclusion Club, co-chaired by Maya, Marcus, and Jamal. Their first order of business, drafting a student admin council charter, ensuring any future disciplinary actions would include student representation. They also planned a speaker series on civil rights and a Know Your Rights workshop with local attorneys. That afternoon, every teacher attended the first of 3 mandatory cultural competency workshops, led by the same facilitator who had trained the district's police. In small groups, faculty practiced bias interruption techniques, pausing to reflect before calling on students, crafting lesson plans that highlighted diverse perspectives, and holding equity office hours where students could discuss concerns without fear. Mr. Sanchez, once one of Principal Anderson's staunchest supporters, admitted mid-session that he'd never realized how assumptions slip into everyday interactions. His confession earned nods of understanding from colleagues. By the end of the week, Lincoln High's environment had shifted noticeably. Jamal returned to his calculus class to find his seat reserved with a small placard. Hero and tutor, Jamal Robinson. At lunch, the cafeteria's special Unity menu featured dishes representing students' cultural backgrounds. kimchi from the Tran, family samosas from the Patel house, and cornbread from the Carters. Conversations flowed freely across tables that had once been divided by cliques and fear. That Friday evening, the school hosted a community town hall in the gymnasium. Neighbors, alumni, and students packed the bleachers to hear updates on the council's initiatives. Superintendent Delgado announced that Lincoln High would serve as the pilot for a district-wide equity task force, sharing best practices with every school in the county. As the meeting adjourned and parents lingered to shake hands, Jamal and Maya exchanged a look full of hope. The road ahead would require vigilance and continued collaboration, but they had proven that when a community stands together, even the deepest wounds can heal and transform a school from a place of exclusion into a home of belonging. Spring arrived, with warm breezes drifting through Lincoln High's open windows and blossoms spilling across the quad. Jamal Robinson walked the halls not as an outsider, but as a celebrated leader, his name now spoken in tones of respect rather than suspicion. As he passed lockers, students greeted him with nods and smiles. Underclassmen he'd tutored in math, teammates he'd coached in debate, even teachers who once stammered around him now offered genuine hellos. In the weeks since the town hall, the Student Admin Council had finalized its charter. Jamal and Maya took seats alongside Principal Anderson at every monthly meeting, reviewing disciplinary referrals together before any decisions could be made. Teacher Ms. Patel reported that detentions for subjective infractions had dropped by 50%, a direct result of the new Dialogue First policy championed by the council. One Wednesday evening, the Equity and Inclusion Club hosted their first Lincoln Legacy Night, honoring alumni whose voices had shaped the school's journey. In the auditorium, Jamal took the stage to introduce former students, now lawyers, educators, and activists, whose careers had been inspired by the fight for justice he helped spearhead. His closing words echoed in the hushed hall. We prove that no act of prejudice can stand when we stand together. Tonight, we pass the torch to a new generation, one that will never accept silence over fairness. Outside the auditorium, the school unveiled a Wall of Voices mural in the hallway. Portraits of Jamal, Maya, and fellow student activists painted in vibrant colors alongside historical civil rights heroes. Underneath, Principal Anderson's plaque read, "Here we learned that belonging is earned through courage, compassion, and community." As summer approached, Jamal prepared to graduate, valedictorian and first student leader to transition from expelled to honored guest of honor. At commencement, he addressed his classmates. We came together to reclaim a stolen chapter of our school's story. Now let us write the next chapters in ink, not in erasures, ensuring that every student who walks these halls feels seen, heard, and truly at home. When he tossed his cap into the warm spring sky, the cheer that followed wasn't just for a graduation, it was for the enduring promise that Lincoln High would forever stand as a place where justice found its voice and every student belonged.